Hansa, papastem si Kason. So we're going to continue on processing this moose, and we're going to move on now. We're going to be doing the ribs and the backbone because we want to separate these ribs. This is how we packed it into our side by side last night. So we want to get that processed and cleaned up and cut and either smoked to have smoked ribs or to bag them. But the first thing we got to do is on a moose. Every single moose has a hump on it, and if you see it here, this is a big chunk of cartilage here along the very top of the backbone. Now that's just cartilage, and it turns into a bone, sort of like a. If the meat wasn't on there, it'd look like a fin there. But we just want this meat is what we're going to be processing through the bandsaw into steaks because these are still. We ended our when we cut the moose up, we ended right where our sirloin cuts would end at the top of the tenderloins. That's where we cut it fourth rib up, and we're gonna still utilize this as steaks, but we've got to get through all of this first. So we're gonna first cut through with a sawzall to take this hump off. And Dean is here to help with the sawzall. He's just gonna make that cut to cut that hump off right now. Well, I'll steady it. So you'll see it's just that cartilage that we really can't use. There's really no use for it because it is almost 100% cartilage. So now the next thing we're going to do is when you look inside the rib cage, we want to cut not right against the spine, but we want to cut almost right to the spine and still be able to save those steaks on that backbone in there. So we're going to cut on each side, and we're going to make a line right about here. So right about here, we're going to go down, follow that line. So you see, we've got our ribs there now. We'll just clean it off a little. There is just the tiniest bit of hair on there still. And we're going to do the same cut to the other side. You see, we stayed about 2 fingers, 3 fingers on the ribs on each side. And once I get it onto my bandsaw, I'm going to make a clean cut there anyway, just to make it a nice clear cut for my steaks I'm going to get off of there. So we're going to do the same to the other side. Into the steaks a little bit there, but not too bad. So we've got both our rib sides here. So now what we're going to do with this is we're going to take it to the bandsaw and use the bandsaw to cut this into workable chunks. But first what I want to do, because once I do get it to the bandsaw, a lot of this loose meat on the side is just going to flop around and get in the way. That'll go to grind. Again, on this side, anything that's loose, I'm just going to get rid of that so it doesn't affect me when I'm making my cuts on the bandsaw. And from there, I can make I could probably just cut that breast piece out of there. So again there, a lot of bone, really no meat on there. And now this is probably nice and prepped, ready for the bandsaw. And with this, I think I might just now with this, there's a couple of things you could do. You could just cut this whole bit of the meat off of where the along the backbone. A lot of people use it for grind or for burger, either for burger or stew meat, just because it is a little bit a tougher cut on it. So even for steaks, it would be a little bit tougher. So maybe what I'll do is for the one side, I'm just going to show you how we cut that that meat off, and I'm going right against the backbone, right against the bones, right to the edge of where the ribs were, and I'm going to run my knife along, following those ribs there, just to get that chunk of meat out of there. And I can turn it around and cut from this side now along the ribs, getting as much of the meat off as I can. And you'll see the cut that comes out of there. Really good for grind or for stew meat. So I can cut that up into either stew meat or grind. More than likely into stew meat, because it does make good stew meat with this backbone. It's part of the back strap. So if I would have left those that piece I cut out for my sirloin steaks and my T-bones and porterhouse steaks, if I would have left that on, we could have cut all along the backbone to get that whole back strap out in one piece. But we split it for because we're going to be making T-bones and porterhouse steaks out of those. So here we just a piece of the back strap. But for this side, I think I'm going to cut that one with my bandsaw to make some rib steaks. All right, so we finished cutting the ribs off of the backbone, and we're looking at the backbone, and the backbone was kind of where the bullet went through, so it wasn't really useful to make steaks out of. So what I did is I cut that top part of the back strap off, and we'll be using that probably to make stew meat out of. But I got two nice pieces of back strap there, the upper half of the back strap, and those will make really good stew meat. For one set of ribs, I'm going to show you how we cut them to throw them on the smoker, and the other ones I'm going to make into short ribs using my bandsaw. But for this one, I'll show you how we'd make it into to smoke them. Now, when we're smoking them, we cut them in pairs. So I see two rib bones here, so I'm going to cut those two off together. So I've got a pair like that. Now I'm going to go about maybe 3 fingers down, and I'm going to poke my knife through, and you see I'm about 3 fingers, and I'm going to cut through the two of those so they're sort of like a pair, like this. Because when I hang them on the rack, I'm going to put them on the pole like this to kind of separate them, and they'll perfectly smoke all of that meat on the ribs, so I get my smoked ribs out of those. Do the same again. 1, 2. Cut those ones together, completely off from the other ones. Then again, about 3 fingers, and I'm going to cut right through them like that, ready to hang on my smoker. Then again, cut 2 off. Again, about 3 fingers. Cut those off. Now this one I've got 3, so I'm gonna just cut those open together with the 3 because I don't want to waste any. Like that, and I'm just gonna hang them on the pole like this so they're still separated from each other. So I'm gonna hang these on the rack now so they can get smoking immediately while they're still fresh. And I'm just gonna hang them over one pole and see that they're separated, or I can even put them out like that to keep them separated because I want that smoke to get all the way throughout those ribs. This one where I had 3, I put 2 over the pole, hang one that way. So just separate them, make sure they're not touching anywhere so that smoke gets all throughout them. And I'll continue to smoke these until they're completely smoked and start to turn a blackish color all around them. When that lets me know the smoke is all around, because you can see how the color of the dry meat is already going. That's the color that I want these as well once they do get smoked. With these, I'll only smoke them for a day, not any longer than that, because they will start to spoil because they are bigger chunks of meat. So I just get that smoke into them, and that'll be enough just to flavor them. So now we're going to be moving over to the bandsaw, and I'll show you how I'm going to cut the other one into short ribs. Alright, so I'm back and I'm going to be showing you how to cut. I'm going to cut this one into short ribs. So first I want to start with a nice straight line. So I'm just using my guides here and sort of seeing where it's going to get it even from the end to the front. Just because I want nice straight short ribs. Once I get it there, I can start doing my cut. And you'll see that I've got a nice clean cut there. So now I'm going to bring my saw back, level out. I want short ribs to be not too long. So I'm going maybe like again 3 fingers or something, or 2 inches or something. But I want them short for short ribs. So I'm going to line that up to where it's as even as possible. And I've got a nice set of short ribs there. Now with this, I can either cut them into separate pieces, or I could smoke them like this as well and get a nice smoke on those on the smoker, and then cut them into pieces before I bag them. But I'll continue cutting these, even them out again. Again, go against my guide. And you got to go slow because, like I said before, these are kind of fresh still, so that's why they bind up. Another nice piece there, clean off. Either throw on the smoker like that, or cut them and use them like that. And I could probably get one last cut out of this one. again, once I wash it up, another nice piece of short ribs to either smoke or do whatever I'm going to be doing with that. This, what I'll probably do is I'll cut off any remaining meat on here to throw into the grind. But that's how we do our short ribs. And I'm more than likely going to smoke these on my charcoal smoker. Put those inside and let them get nice and smoked after I've cleaned them up a bit. So again, the point of this all is we're not wasting anything. We're using everything possible because this moose gave its life to us, and we want to make sure that we're utilizing every piece of it. So that's the ribs. We'll move on to the next part.